Hello, this is Erin with the Joy in Pens and Paper, and I am hopefully in this video wrapping up my light blue inks, and I will be swatching mostly bottles but also a couple of samples that were left over from my last swatching. And I'm quickly looking off to the side because I have a few newer inks to my collection, and one of them is a fit for this video, so I wanted to make sure to grab that. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to get into swatching the bottles and then end with a couple of the samples because I think I will have space. So the first bottle that I'm going to swatch is a staple in the community, or at least it used to be a staple years ago, and this is Konpeki by Pilot Iroshizuku. This may have become most popular. Ooh, that was tight. Because Brian from Goulet Pens at one point was sharing his opinion that this was one of the best blues. And I haven't kept up with watching Goulet Pen YouTube videos for a bit, so I don't know if he still would categorize this as one of the best or one of his favorites. But that is a very, very bright blue. And let's see, we're going to this was the second blue that I ever purchased. The first was, is going to be my dark blue, but it was Gerban 1776 Blue Ocean. And then because of Brian, I purchased Konpeki. And I have not used, you can see the ink line is right up here. I've not used a ton of it, but I have used it more than once, so that's a plus. All right, and my next Pilot Iroshizuku that I'm going to put in this light blue family is Ajasai. This is kind of a blurple. Oh yeah, especially next to Konpeki. This is very, very purple, but I promise it is a blurple. And this particular bottle of ink I actually purchased on Amazon, one of the few times that I have purchased a bottle of ink on Amazon. Another one is that I purchased is Colorverse. It's a black, sparkle black. It's a very shimmery black, but the bottle of Ajasai, the cap actually came broken, and thankfully it didn't spill anywhere, but I had to super glue the cap back on. All right, the next one I'm going to do is a Birmingham Pen Company bottle of Kingfisher. I love Birmingham Pen Company inks. They are very well behaved. They are a pleasure to work with, write with. They shade really nicely. The downside is that you have to buy a full bottle. And I'm just not sure if this is a color that I would use a full bottle of, but I love Birmingham Pen Company. And they just, I'm filming this at the end of December, they just launched a couple of new colors that are so far in my wheelhouse that I'm really struggling with not just going ahead and buying them. But I want to be a little bit more thoughtful and intentional in my ink purchases, at least until I can work through a good amount of the samples that I currently have and really kind of identify or can strongly conclude that it is an ink that having in my collection will bring value to my hobby. So that is Birmingham Pen Company Kingfisher. And the next one I will do, this is fascinating. Looks like this is not a shimmer ink, but I'm just looking at the bottom. It looks like there's some particles, so I just want to make sure it's well agitated. This is Noodler's 54th Massachusetts. Again, this was an earlier purchase in my collection days and highly recommended by Brian Goulet. That's a lot of bubbles at the top. So I haven't used this much. And the last time that I used, oh, this probably should have been in the medium to dark blue. That's okay. I think I primarily have bubbles on there. Oh, how did that spacing get so off? Oh, that's gonna drive me crazy. All right, 2, 3. Oop, and this is what I don't. Hold on. Yep, that's what I recall from working with this ink. Yeah, let me see if I can have a different way of swatching this, because that's not gonna work. Let's see if this will work. So I'm just grabbing a Twis B Go and dipping it. Yep. And this is 54th. Massachusetts. All right, and I will have to clean that out later. And I'm not even sure if I can get, oh, that is bleeding through. Oh no. I have a Post-it right here. Oh no. Well, this just became a hot mess express. All right, so I just used a tissue to try to pull up some of that extra. Oh goodness. I don't even know what to do with this ink. So I'm just putting the tiniest little bit there to see. I don't even know if I can really show the line width variation because of how lubricated this ink is. Wow. Well, this may be something that I throw away. Oh, that makes me sad. Okay, moving on. Let's see, that is a shimmer. This is standard. All right, so the next one is Diamine Ink Vent from 2021 Thunderbolt. This is a standard ink. Well, if I remember correctly, this had a level brightness to it. Oh yeah, it's like a neon blurple. 2, 3, 4, 5. So Diamine Ink Vent. And this is called Thunderbolt. Wow, that is bright. Not quite sure that I would consider that to be representative of a Thunderbolt, but all right, this next one is a shimmer, so I'm gonna put that down and come back to it in a moment. That one's a shimmer. Let's do, so this is a new ink to my collection. I received this from my family for Christmas. Oops, I want to make sure I get all the blue out of there. It's very similar to Birmingham Pen Company Kingfisher. Come on. There we go. All right, Wearing Gold, Sedna. All right, and the last non-shimmer bottle that I have is Sar Mano Haha. Now this, I will very much say, YouTube made me do it. I don't remember which YouTuber, but it's definitely YouTube. I had really decided to commit to this hobby and expand my ink choices, get beyond the blacks, the grays, a little bit of blue, and I was very intrigued with the chromo shading properties of this ink. So I purchased a bottle. Probably could have gotten a sample and been very happy, but this is a color that benefits from a very wet writing and or a medium to broad nib pen. If you're using an extra fine nib, which at the time that I purchased this bottle, that is primarily what I was using. This ink is not going to show the chromo shading and all the satisfying characteristics that you likely purchased it for or added it to your collection for. Okay. So the rest of the inks have a shimmer of some sort. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into that. The first one is another Diamine Ink Vent 2021. That's the only ink vent that I have participated in, and it was gifted to me. I may budget to purchase it myself for 2024. But this one is called Subzero. And it may have been this gift of the ink vent that really helped open me up to exploring very different colors. And I mean colors that are not even in my wheelhouse for, you know, I wouldn't even buy a water bottle this color because I like to play it safe and get neutrals. And so this ink vent really helped me step out of that comfort zone. Starting to make a mess. Ooh, pretty. All right, and the next one is Dominant Industry Periwinkle Twinkle. So let me just agitate this and get the shimmer off the bottom. I'm gonna use my other hand to agitate the next one so that goes a little bit quicker. Almost there. There we go. All right, so here's the Periwinkle Twinkle. One, two, three. Oops. something very calming about ink swatching. I'm just focusing on moving that dip pen across the page and seeing the ink dry. I love it. All right, so the next one is a sample from Ink Journal. And this is by Colorverse. Monkey Head Nebula. All right, and let's go with this one next. So this has a gold shimmer. It's working on getting it agitated. Oh, look at that. Those two next to each other. It's absolutely beautiful. You can see the shimmer pulling away from the part where it pooled. There we go. Apologies. Hopefully no one bailed. All right, so this is a sample from Van Ness. One, two, three. This one's called Alice. So one of the, Wearing Gold does a lot of literary work, ink lines, or just inks. And they did a Alice in Wonderland. And so they've got Alice, and they have the White Rabbit and Mad Hatter. I have a bottle of Mad Hatter. I do have a sample of Pink Rabbit. And this next one, and I might try to sneak one more in, spoiler, because I've got one more left and I thought it was gonna fit, and now I'm kind of regretting swatching Noodlers. If I hadn't swatched that one, I would have had space for all of them and I wouldn't have this whole cluster of a mess. But the 54th has some sheening to it. that's coming through on the edge of the line variations. That Subzero is gorgeous. It's very bright. If I remember correctly, Subzero may have been one of the more popular colors to come out of that particular ink vent. Almost there. Apologies. All right, so this is a sample from Van Ness. And it's by, I was gonna say also, because I'm already thinking of the last sample. So this is Van Diemen's. And this one's called Morning Frost. All right, and last but certainly not least, these are very similar, these two. I bought a sample of this from, I think it was Van Ness, and then I was gifted a sample by a viewer, Kathleen. And this one is called Wearingeul Dewy Starlight. And if I remember correctly, this is going to be very similar to Wearingeul Alice and Morning Frost. Maybe a little bit more on the green side. Come on. Wearingeul inks tend to be a little bit heavy on the shimmer. There's certainly enough in there. I inked up a pen recently with a Wearingeul shimmer ink, and I didn't want to pull up a ton of the shimmer, so I didn't agitate it, and it still is very full of shimmer as I write with it. Oh yes, it's very similar to the other two. And what I remembered, it's a little bit more on the green side. Oops. Dewy. That transition from the W to the Y did not go as it should have. Dewy Starlight. It's a very light ink. So it's going to do best with a medium to broad nib or a very wet writing fine. All right. Ooh, it's a little all over the place here. These light blues, these different light to medium blues, and some with a little green and some with a little purple. Yeah, gosh, there's just so many different ink colors. I wish I had them all. The Thunderbolt has a little bit of a copper sheen to it. Yeah, the Sedna and the Kingfisher are very similar, exceptionally similar. And these are also very similar, kind of their base color. The base color for the Monkey Head Nebula is a little bit more gray than the base color for the Periwinkle Twinkle. And then the Shimmer appears to be a little bit more of a bright pink, versus this is a little bit more of a champagne pink. But very similar inks. I like that. Fascinating. And the Van Diemen's Morning Frost is just chock full of shimmer, as is the Wearingeul Dewy Starlight and the Alice. Let me see if I can move that around so you can get an idea of that shimmer. Oh yeah, and look at the Subzero. All right, well, this was a little fumbling through. I do think this is going to be a bottle that I say goodbye to. It's not even worth passing it along because that was just atrocious. It really was. And the bleed through as well, even on the swatch. And that is actually what I remember about that ink, is that it bled through in a monthly spread on my Hobonichi. So I'd like to not have that happen anymore. All right. So with that said, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for watching. And if there's any any colors in this spread that really caught your eye, please let me know. I love to hear that. All right. Bye.